Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make subtitles inside of DaVinci Resolve. What you want to do is actually make sure that you have your audio and media already placed inside your file. If you're missing any files, or if you have like music in the background, sometimes that may trigger different things that can mess up, but 9 times out of 10 it should work just fine. You won't find it on any of these other menus. You actually have to go inside of Timeline and scroll down to where it says create subtitles from audio. When you select this, it will give you the option of your language. Of course, I'll select English. Subtitle Default is basically your DaVinci Resolve version of subtitles. So if you say something like media bins or subtitles or anything along the lines that fit DaVinci, let's say your color tab or fusion page, it'll know to write those format. Sometimes it'll capitalize different things just depending on what's inside of DaVinci. I don't know if I have an example to really show you guys, but it basically knows DaVinci lingo, and so it will place that inside of your subtitles. If you don't want that, you use Teletext, which is sort of like for TV, not so much movies. I use slightly different things. It just has a different character on there. And then if you want to make yours look more like a movie, for instance, Netflix is very, very big, you have your Netflix subtitles. So that will have the brackets that shows like music when music is playing, or somber music instead of just music. I think that's really the difference between Subtitle Default versus Netflix. It'll say somber, or it'll say happy music, or I don't know, spiritual music, things like that. Like it's more specific for that Netflix movie-esque type vibe. Right here you have your maximum of your characters. It's defaulted to 32, I believe, for Netflix. For DaVinci should be the same. I think the only thing that drops is Teletext, just because of the different layouts. And I'll use Netflix for this particular example. You can also use your single or double lines, which just means if you want to have, let's say there's a lot of people talking at once, you can have your double lines to kind of show up and down with 2 different people talking at the same time, or to just kind of cut back and forth with different brackets. You'll have your gap between subtitles, which this you really don't have to mess with. But for this category, I'll just do the Netflix subtitles first. So it'll take a little minute. So now we have our subtitles. It just popped up in there. Let me actually take this off. Well, it's fine. I'll leave it in there. But basically, it shows you all the words you're saying. So I'll play this. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Ambitious Nature. Today I will be showing you how to fade videos. And let's make this, I'll do the opacity. You don't have to follow along with me on this. This is just so you can see the subtitles on today. So immediately it's in there. Everything that I just said is already right there. And of course, sometimes the words may get mixed up depending on your dialogue. Just the way you talk, if you have a southern accent or New York or anything like that, sometimes it does mix up, but that's not a big issue. All you have to do is go inside of, and I'm just scrolling in with the alt click. Over here, if you select don't select everything, just select the one particular clip, it'll show you right here your time in and out. So this that's highlighted red kind of shows you what you're looking at. That's this bar right here, so you can know you're on the right one. If you don't see any of your features, all you have to do is go to customize your caption. This will unlock a multitude of different things. You can select your font family if you want to categorize it. Let's change this to I don't know, just put it on this one. Actually, let me go down to this right here. That way you can see a difference. And see how this one is specifically on this home thing? You can change that if you would like to. You can change the boldness of it. You can also change the color. I'll select yellow. Now you see the color that's on here as well. Let's go back to white on this, just so it doesn't blend with the background image. You can also change your size of your text, which I would just leave to default. So just hit Control-Alt-Z if you make a mistake. You can align it left or right. I don't think it's really gonna do much on here just because it's already centered. Maybe if you expanded the clip a little bit larger, it could. And then you can change your position, which for this I would purposely leave by itself and go over to track, where you can actually adjust different things, because to me I think that's a little bit easier. But that's my personal opinion. But over here you have different tabs, so you can select and actually edit in a sense through your audio. So if you remember you said something, I don't know, like for instance I always say peace out most times on my videos, I can go to peace out. It'll automatically jump me right here on the timeline to where that word is spelled out. you have your previous and next, so if it's too hard to click through, or if you're on a tablet, I think you may be able to click the next tabs, but you can cycle through your different words to make sure everything's spelled right. Track is a little bit different. Track controls the entire spectrum where your words are. So now that I'm selecting this right here, I can change the entire track of the subtitle. I can change all the colors. So if I go again to, let's just do yellow, as I scroll through, they will start to change also the colors as well. Let's put this back to white. Actually, that was a stroke. That's my apologies on there. Let's see. This should change it. There we go. That's the yellow. Stroke is a little bit different. That's like if it's writing through. But yeah, you can change your size to all of your fonts. I'll do Control Z again. You have your line spacing. This just controls like how high or low it is. Kerning is just how spacious you want it to be. So if you want your words to spread out and look a little bit more textile or futuristic, things like that, or maybe it's a title that's coming through as a subtitle. I don't know why you would do that, but you have the option to do so. If you ever want to, instead of hitting Control Z, if I make a mistake, you can just hit the recycle button on this. You have your case. This is actually something I just realized from the new update. I don't know why I didn't see it earlier, but you can select all caps. In case you forgot to type all caps, it's not a big deal. You can select all lowercase if you would like to do that. You can do small caps, which just means that it'll capitalize the first big letter, which is this L right here, and everything else will be smaller. It's a slightly different thing. And then title caps, which is every single individual word starts off with something capitalized, so it'll do this automatically. And as you notice, because I've done this to my track file, it would do it to every single track. Just remember, these are the subtitle one will be considered the tracks. So let's go over to mixed, which is the way it did it automatically. You can select your transform. This is why I said I would rather do it out here. Unless you want to do it individually, then you can do your position, but typically if it's a little bit off, like let's say you have, let's do this, let's do 110. This is just creating black bars. There we go. So let's say it's a little bit low, or let's go back to track. Let's say we want to put it, a little bit lower. Actually, let's go back to this and drag it over there. You can do that as well too. So it's just a little bit easier if you would like to adjust it. Of course, it's all based upon your preference. So if you like to have your film style and keep your tracks a little bit different, you can adjust that as well too, which is really neat. Of course, you can just hit your reset. You also have opacity, which just allows you to have your words kind of fade in and out. If you want to do something cool, you can keyframe it, I believe. You can also choose to anchor it, which just means it's like it's a visible line, but basically you can see right here is in the middle, which keeps it aligned. You can go a little bit above, you can go underneath, you can push off to the side, down the middle. You kind of get the picture. I always leave mine inside of the middle, and this changes kind of the global scheme of it. These three are a little bit different. So place these both in the middle and you'll be back to normal, or you just hit the reset again. You can also add in your drop shadow. Drop shadow is really cool because it elevates a little bit from the background if you would like to. And so with drop shadow, you have your let's go to this, add a little bit different, and you can select your blur. I would actually, let me bring this a little bit larger so you guys can see. Let's take this off. Let's take these off right here. Okay, so now you can see a little bit better in a broader, on a broader screen. But you have your offset, which is just allowing it to move left and right, or up and down depending on the angle. I usually like to have mine a little bit, let's reset this, a little bit to the right where you can just see it pop out a tad bit, and a tad bit lower. Of course, your blur really defines how great you would like it to be. And of course your opacity, which I don't know why you would temper this. If you add a shadow, you should leave it the way it is, but if you like to, that's totally up to you as far as adjusting it. You also have background, which is different. Background pulls up an entire border, and so with the background feature, you can actually change the color of your background. So let's do orange, or I'll do red. So if you like to, you can adjust that width on there. This is like your border radius. They call it outline, but it's really the border of it. You have your corner radius, which allows it to make it a unique shape. I believe, let's make this a little bit different. Yeah, you can change your opacity if you don't want your color to be too far intense. So it's a lot of cool, neatness to it if you would like to customize your features and add something unique. This is also your override sizing, which is your width. I haven't quite figured out what it truly does other than creates these borders at the bottom. I'm assuming maybe you would use it for a church. If you wanted to have like a banner at the background as audience are singing and you want them to follow on, I assume this is what this would be for. For me personally, I probably wouldn't use it at all, just because it doesn't really make sense to me. I'd rather just use the background, but of course you do have the option. And again, at the top you also have this too, so you can do a complete factory reset, which adjusts everything. So let's take this back off, but that's your background. You can also go to subtitle settings, which if you have your project settings selected, it'll just use whatever you selected. So I had the 47, I believe is what it was originally, so it's using my project. But of course, if I want to adjust it, I can make the max line length a little bit different, duration a little bit different, the caps. Of course, I'm not going to touch this at all, but that's basically your subtitles. This really makes a difference. Like for instance, when I did the last, and I'll mute this track over here. But when I did my last YouTube short, let's take off this. Let's see. Bingo. So on my last page, on my last video, I had my files over here. So as you can see, as I'm playing through it, I'm selecting different colors on the tabs as far as the words go. You can change different sizes. I don't think I did the fonts on here, but of course I made some of them all caps with different colors, just to highlight it to make it a little bit different. You see a lot of different TikTokers or YouTubers starting to incorporate this into videos, just to spice up their YouTube shorts. I haven't done this particular thing until realistically recently, just because I didn't know or believe it would make a big difference. And it is extra steps, or they are extra steps, but it honestly, I like the feedback from it, just based upon you guys, as well as the way it looks visually. So I do recommend adding this into all of your features, along with the fact that for Google, well, of course they own YouTube, but for any other site, captions are supposed to be AI generated and accurate, but they're not quite accurate. So I believe creating your subtitles and throwing them inside of the YouTube page really allows you to do, like, it allows you to basically keep your audience engaged, so they can see the folders and files, and you don't have to worry about them not being able to pick up on that, or you don't have to worry about the wrong translation, because you do have different Englishes within DaVinci Resolve. And I'll show you this too. Let's move this back down. But if you go into your deliver page, one second. There it is, it loaded up. So if you go into your deliver page, you can actually choose what you want to save over to. So I have my, let's go back to this real quick. Let's make our subtitles visible again. If I go back to deliver, down here on the bottom left of your screen, you have subtitle settings, and you can choose to export your subtitles. Now, if you do not select this, it will not export your subtitles at all. It'll just have the regular video file. But if you go to this, it says export subtitle. You can choose to export as a separate file. This will allow you to, actually, I'll show you guys. All right, so this is my YouTube page. This is what it looks like on the behind the scenes. So I guess you guys get a cool look. If you go over to subtitles, you'll see the pages that should have subtitles and what languages they are. This is of course in English. If I want to, I can go over to my dashboard. Actually, sorry, let's go back to content, and select your details. And when you select your video, you'll see the little icon over here that says subtitles. Well, for this, you can actually upload a file, and once you select this, this will have a different file on here. You can do it with timing or without timing. I do mine with timing just because DaVinci automatically syncs it up. So I'll hit continue just to show you guys. Okay, so this is the file folder. So basically inside my hard drive, I have what's called a TTML file. This is what DaVinci automatically saves your file type of subtitles into. So all you have to do is select that, and I won't press it, but obviously get the picture. If I press upload, it will upload it into it with timing, and it will automatically sync to yours. So I can actually show you Let's go to a video that actually has it on here. I'll just do this one, matching colors. But on here, it is synced. So this is my DaVinci file. Everything in there, all the words are synced to the time cues. You can even edit the text if you would like to. Everything's in here. So if I want to adjust it, let's say I made a typo inside of DaVinci Resolve, I can go back and adjust it right now inside of the clips, which is pretty awesome as far as YouTube standards goes. But it creates that TTML file that allows you to basically customize YouTube videos. So it is very, very neat. And this is the file type that it exports as. By default, I honestly cannot tell you what the other file types are. I just leave it as this. But this will be saving it as a separate file, as is listed right here. And you have to also select the subtitle track. So this is subtitle 1, and you know that because of this number right here. If you do not select this, this also will not select your subtitle file at all to export. You just get a video and can't figure out why it's not syncing on there. If you would like to embed the captions, this would be also hidden inside the video. It's saved as a codec text file. It's just for different websites if you would like to. I personally just don't use it. It doesn't really matter much. And then for this, like what I did for the Nicodemus video that I uploaded on the YouTube channel a while back, this allows you to burn it into your video. All that just means is that when you're saving up the videos, these subtitles will stay burned in, so it will always be visible to everybody. So if you have this plus the captions, they will basically overlap. I don't recommend this at all unless you have a film where it's very, very quiet and you want to announce what they're saying. But there's very few instances where I personally use the burn-in video, but I can see how churches would use it, for instance, or different live streamers if they wanted to add in the category, or in the case of me where I had, let's turn this back off. In the case of the video that I made a little while ago for the YouTube short, this you will want to have it burnt in. That's what it looks like. It's just basically saving to the actual file that's recorded. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so I just had to figure this out myself as I was editing, because this has also been a headache for me as well. But I have shown you guys how to add in the subtitle 1 track. I did not know until just now how to add in the subtitle 2. What you want to do is go over here, hit add subtitle track. So just right click, and there you go. Now it's the 2. The difference being is this is the Netflix version. I want to have a totally different version, so I will select ST1. Don't select the select ST2, but it will say ST1 at the top when you hit it. And let's go over to these audio tracks, and I think it should be just fine. Let's actually put this back on, and we'll go over back up to our timeline clip, create subtitles from audio, and let's do terms and gaps. Let's change it to Subtitle Default, and we'll see if we can see a difference. So now we have it. Now we have our actual file. So let's go over, let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's bring you down, and well, we can bring this back up a little bit, but I'll show you guys the difference. So at the bottom, I don't like how these move around, but at the bottom I have my Netflix account. So Netflix is this right here, S1. Netflix will show you music. So let's go in. It shows music tab over here, and then it goes to the tabs of me actually talking. If you notice, if I go to DaVinci, it does not. It just says, hey everyone, welcome. And it goes over to this right here. Hey everyone, and welcome back to, it does not show the music tab at all whatsoever. Even over here, it won't show you either. Teletext, I guess, just for, I don't know, tutorial purposes. Let's find out what that does together. Let's go over to here. Let's go to, and you know what, I'll do double. That way you guys can see the difference. And we'll go over to Teletext. Alrighty, so now I have this set up. And Teletext, it looks similar from what I can tell. It looks very similar to DaVinci Default. It's not showing the music at all when it kicks in. And of course you guys can see as the text gets a lot longer with more characters, that's just basically every single letter or number, whatever it's in there, they call it characters. But as the text gets larger, it will drop it down to just that dual line platform. So that's your subtitles. Honestly, it's really neat to use. I personally love it. I promised that I would start adding it into every single video that I upload to YouTube, just to help out. Even if you don't have English is like your first language, you can at least see it and type in the chat and follow along. Like, I just want to make it more user friendly. I don't know all the languages in the world, obviously, but this allows them to be able to translate this text if need be, and just kind of broaden your audience. Or if you think about, for those that may have hearing impairment, this may also help them out as well too, because we forget that we may not have the best of mics all the time, and even if you do, there's still mistakes in there, but this just allows it to be more of an all-inclusive type of scenario for people. So I personally love it. I recommend you do it as well too. There's just so much that you can add into the subtitle feature, and of course it just makes you look more professional, not just in terms of your YouTube approach, but also in terms of your clientele, and basically everywhere you put the video out. It's just neat to have it embedded inside of there, so that if they play it on a YouTube channel, or if they play it, if you were to burn CDs or DVDs again, or just submit it to Netflix if you're big enough to be on there, it just allows them to have that file where they can pull down, and it's just nice and neat for everyone to get used to it. And with one click of a button, you don't have to code for TV or anything else. One click of a button, it shows up your subtitles. And so I just think that's really neat that DaVinci Resolve added it versus having to type it in layer by layer by layer. This makes a huge difference with the AI features based upon there. So get used to your subtitles. I won't keep rambling on. I know this is a longer video than typical, but I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed with all the things that you can do with subtitles. Of course, if you guys have any questions, you can let me know down in the comment section. And as well as if you would like to see something new on the channel, whether it's a tutorial or a film, anything like that, just let me know and I'll do my best to create it as soon as possible. And with that, please subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out.